It has become increasingly clear that Donald Trump already knows how the election is going to play out. Not in terms of the votes necessarily, he's not worried about that, but he knows what his strategy is. And he's being very open about what he plans to do to make sure that he wins, regardless of what the people want. Take a look at this video.
I don't think so. We need 9 justices. You need that. With the unsolicited millions of ballots that they're sending, it's a scam, it's a hoax. Everybody knows that. And the Democrats know it better than anybody else. So you're going to need 9 justices up there. I think it's going to be very important because what they're doing is a hoax with the ballots. They're sending out tens of millions of ballots, unsolicited, not where they're being asked, but unsolicited. And that's a hoax. And you're going to need to have 9 justices. So doing it before the election would be a very good thing because you're going to probably see it because what they're doing is trying to sow confusion and everything else.
So I don't think that could be any clearer. He's asked a question. I understand it's really loud because for some reason these press conferences have to take place 1.5 feet away from the rotors of a chopper. But anyway, he was asked about filling that seat and causing division and chaos and all of that, which obviously he doesn't worry about. That is the product that he sells. And said, no, you have to have 9 justices because we're gonna need them in the election. So it seems pretty clear that we can go about our whole voting thing, but his plan is to have the Supreme Court pull a 2000, pull a Florida, and just decide this thing for him.
Well, I'm trying to work on my anger because it makes me really angry, and I don't know why. I watched the Social Dilemma, and now I understand why I get so angry. But what I will say is this, like I'm starting to understand why a lot of this stuff triggers me. This is what I will say is that people keep playing around. He used the word hoax. He has his trigger words that he continuously uses to stoke his base. When he says hoax, fake news, there's always those words to get the people going who don't have all of the information, the people who are not doing the reading, they don't do the research, they're not paying attention to what's happening behind the curtain. So that's how you do it. Now you're talking about, of course, the evangelical base who are constantly being emotionally motivated through issues of like abortion, capital punishment. Of course, he's going to push for the Supreme Court justice seat to be filled because he knows that he is feeding his base, and his base may not know what facts are, what laws are, what separation of church and state really means. They're just believing in the devil, and they're believing that they're coming for our morality. And that's all he's got right now, because he can't move intellectuals. He can't move people who have information, who are informed and well read and know what's going on. So all he's got is his last stand. But I'm just going to continue to urge people to understand that he's coming for our democracy. These are the talking points of people who are dictators. They attack the media, they attack the process. They attack the credibility of the system, and then they offer a better solution, which is them making all of the decisions. And those of us who are raised by people who come from places like that, like me, whose stepfather comes from Cuba, we have a sensitivity to this because we know the talking points because we've heard them our whole lives.
Yeah, this process is dark, it's horrifying, but it's not unique. It's not the first time a country has moved in this direction. And the only question is, do we want to be an inspirational tale of how a country regains their democracy and in fact, hopefully strengthens it beyond any state that it's ever been in from the very beginning, because it's been inherently flawed for literally centuries at this point? Or do we want to be another country that was once sort of democratic, sort of representative, and eventually just become some sort of Christian white nationalist autocracy? Is that what we want? And like I said in the title of this video, he's just admitting it. He's saying they will decide, and we all know exactly how this process is going to work. That's why, I on the special we were talking about the fact that people need to get ready for this not to be election day, but election week. It is going to take some time to count these votes if you want the votes to be counted. But if you don't, if you know that Republicans are gonna skew towards voting day of and Democrats are gonna skew towards voting by mail that'll take a little bit more time to count, then what you wanna do is you wanna jump night of, say I'm leading right now, everything else has been fraudulent. I mean, I've been telling you that for like 6 months now. Supreme Court needs to stop these votes from being counted. That's the plan. Everybody needs to be ready for it. You need to be talking to people about this possibility. You need to be tweeting at Anderson Cooper and Wolf Blitzer and Jake Tapper and all of that to not like call the election night of, or if Fox calls the election night of, which it probably will, not feeling like, oh, we gotta do what we did in 2000 and match them. No, we know exactly what's gonna happen. Nobody gets to be surprised when it happens. And as journalist Matt O'Brien said, the president is like a Bond villain who can't help but tell us about his plan to rig the election. Now the question is, are we gonna get out of their trap or are we gonna get our bodies cut in half by laser? That's basically what we need to find out. And this thing about the mail-in voting, it's not just rhetoric. As BuzzFeed reported last week, the president's re-election campaign and the National Republican Party are devoting millions of dollars to wage a state-by-state legal battle against mail-in voting during the coronavirus pandemic. Not only suing state officials, but also intervening in cases where they aren't a party to limit how Americans can vote from home. In just a minute, we're gonna have a great example of that. But this is really my fear. It's that we already know exactly what election day is gonna look like, but a lot of people, I think they're gonna feel pressure to just go along with it. Well, if Trump says, we gotta stop the vote count, he is the president after all. That's my worry.
The funny thing is that I don't like to feed some of the conspiracies. And you know what? I hate to use the word conspiracy theory because I know where it comes from. But then it makes you, like when you fall down these rabbit holes, because I like to read everything so that I can be informed about everything that's going on. Some of these people who believe that this virus was man-made to keep us at home so that they can take away our voting, it doesn't sound so crazy, right? Like I'm not promoting that, and I'm not saying that that's the fact. But then I understand why a lot of people who really are concerned, because they understand how long democracies last and historically what has happened with the democracies of the world and how our time technically would be up. So I get it. I understand why some people are up in arms, but it does seem a little odd that during a pandemic that the administration would be so opportunistic to say, all right, voting from home we're not gonna honor that. That makes people look at you with a side eye.
Exactly, and they've been saying that the Democratic governors and mayors are doing these lockdowns to benefit them somehow. Well, I'm already telling everyone exactly how election day is gonna go with the mail-in votes versus the day of votes. So if that's what we're worried about, then if we can just magically get rid of the lockdowns, that would make me a lot more comfortable in terms of day of vote. So like if you believe that crazy thing, then why would we maintain it when it's gonna make it a lot easier for Trump to try to put into effect his plan to steal the election? It doesn't make any sense, but these theories rarely do when you even scratch the surface. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.